Thank you. So I'm going to present this ongoing work about the tool we're trying to develop. So as a lot of people have pointed out, hypothesis testing in social sciences is sort of messy, and there's various problems here with hypothesis generation or theory development, the way we state hypotheses and the way that we test them, and the way we report them. But now we're going to focus on the hypothesis statement. So there are various issues here. Maybe the primal issue is a lot of the time we don't even state the hypothesis. We just say as hypothesized in the paper. But when they are stated, they are sometimes poorly phrased. It's difficult to understand what we mean by the hypothesis. They can be ambiguous, so they are open to be interpreted in different ways. They are sometimes compounded, meaning that they can be simultaneously true and untrue, different facets of one hypothesis. They're open to different testing approaches, which invites p-hacking. They are sometimes unspecific, so they don't say how they relate to the study's variables, or several variables could apply to the same hypothesis. They can be undifferentiated, so it's difficult to say what the focal hypothesis of a study was, which makes it difficult to use in a meta-analysis. And it's difficult to compare hypotheses, both between studies and also within a study sometimes. And finally, they are not machine readable, so it makes it difficult to synthesize across different studies. There's been various work on this, going back at least 20 years. And this is a living document, so if you see I'm missing something, feel free to log in and contribute here. You found the link in my slides. So the aim of the current project is to try to assist in hypothesis formulation. So we want to restrict the degrees of freedom when people make hypotheses so that they conform to some simple principles. So in doing this, we will standardize the way hypotheses are formulated. It will guide us into making meaningful propositions, and it will connect the hypothesis to operationalized variables. So we want to make a tool that outputs natural language hypotheses that you can then copy and paste into your pre-registration and your article manuscript. So the assumptions is we're using this for confirmatory research. It's for a priori hypothesis, and it is for researchers acting in good faith. So there's nothing here to prevent QRPs. So currently the tool is somewhere around version 0.3. So we can take a look at what it looks like currently. So it's implemented in the Google Sheet with various tabs at the bottom, and you start out in the state variables. You write the name of your variables in the first column, and then you select from pull-down list what sort of variable this is, and then you provide more descriptions, and you can also set the variable type and write the operationalization of it. Now, the last three columns are optional, so you don't actually need them to use the tool. And you fill this out for all the variables you plan on using in your study. If we now switch to the output variable lists tab, you can see a list of the variables you have entered so far. Now, switching to the specify hypothesis tab, you can use let's ignore the first column for now. And in the second column, you select from pull-down list, and this is now populated by the variable names you entered in the first step. So you select your first variable, and you select one type of association it can have with another variable, and then you select the second variable in the second pull-down list. And you could also build this further, so adding qualifications. So you can say compared to a third variable. So if you do this, follow this format, you can fill out as many variables as many hypotheses as you want. And switching to the output tab for hypothesis statement, you can see the hypotheses are listed and phrased in natural language. We can also go back to the specify hypotheses, and we can say which hypotheses are the main ones and which are secondary ones. And we could also fill out which of them is the focal hypothesis of the study. And returning to the output statement, output tab, we see that this is now added to our statement. And we also have another output tab, which is a suggested template for how to report the hypothesis testing. So it's ready for you to try. If you use the QR, or you can use the TinyURL link. You can also find the link in my slides. Ongoing work is we're comparing this to existing tool, testing whether the need is there. We're figuring out whether it's sufficient to cover typical hypotheses. Probably needs adjustment, expandment to cover more complex or recursive hypotheses. And we're figuring out what the sweet spot is between how many options to put in there. And we have some hurdles like how do we cover interactions in a format like this. So please get involved. Please try it out for your own studies. Email me about comments and feedback. And get in touch if you think you can contribute to the project, especially relevant if you have experience in formal logics, web implementation, community outreach, or translations. Yeah, so thanks. Current contributors are listed in this final slide. Thank you.